Welcome to the Connection America Podcasting Plus Networking Business Event, powered by the American Business Podcast. I'm Kevin Deveci, your host. I'm happy to welcome you to January 2026 edition of Connection America Podcasting Plus Networking Event. We have very special professionals with us today, and I'm very excited to invite them to our virtual stage and get the networking event started. Let's invite our attendees and let's get the conversation started. All right. Hello, Phil. All
Hello,
right.
Kevin. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. Let's set our stage and let's get the conversation started. Yes, okay. Anthony is also coming. All right.
I felt kind of
Hello,
out, but-
Anthony. Yes,
hi.
yeah,
Hey,
this is
how
good.
you doing? Yeah,
Happy Friday. Welcome to the
in
Connection
green room.
America event.
I was in the green room waiting.
Well, thank you very much, all of you, for joining today. Appreciate it. Well, it's going to be a great event, and I'm really happy to have you today in the Connection America Networking Plus podcasting event powered by the American Business Podcast. Well, let's start with the introductions, if that's okay. I'm really excited to have you today, and we have a lot to talk about and cover. Well, let's go around the room, our virtual stage. Kimberly, shall we start with you as introductions? Would you please tell us about your company and yourself, and our audience and viewers, they'll know and learn about your organization.
Sure. Thank you, Kevin. I'm Kimberly Mitchell, owner of Ujuzi, which is a training and AI agent company, author of Hey Beautiful, The Mirror Method, which is on Amazon, creator of the Ignite brand products, and owner of the new, or soon to be new, invention of Zora/Anthem, which is a bra.
Yes, I know you are also an inventor. You have a very powerful professional career. I also know that actually you also served, right? You were also in the...
Absolutely.
If you can also tell us about it, yes. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support. Veteran of the Air Force and the Army National Guard. I served on enlistment through Desert Shield, Desert Storm in the Air Force. And I got out and joined the Army National Guard, where I was more like Private Benjamin than anything else.
Thank you very much for your service. And also for our audience and listeners to know, also I had the pleasure of having Kimberly in the American Business Podcast, and we had a very detailed and great conversation in the podcast, and she shared her professional career journey as well as her professional insights. So for those who like to learn more about Kimberly and her professional career journey, please check out the American Business Podcast and you'll learn more about her. Kimberly, can you tell us about your organization a little bit more in terms of what type of companies are you working with typically, just to share some insights with us?
Sure. I primarily work with early stage entrepreneurs, and we work more from a less tactical, much more around the mindset of an owner and understanding what it really means to own a business and run a business that you own. Sometimes we don't really, we put the titles on, we hang out our shingles, but we really don't believe that we can and should be in business. So we rewind all of that mindset stuff to really level set you to move forward and be able to employ the tactical things that you're able to learn.
Thank you very much for these insights. I appreciate it. Well, let's go around the room if that's okay. Well, Phil, would you please tell us about yourself and your organization?
Hi, my name is Philip Vetrano, and I'm an independent college and career coach. I work with two companies, so my own company, Planning and Vision, and I'm an independent college and career coach, so I provide students and families with a lot of insights and guidance to support them in the college and career process. So we also started a nonprofit organization called Helpopedia, And we are. I noticed when I was an independent college and career coach that there was a lot of challenges that the youth was facing. And so what I've done is surrounded myself with folks, parent coaches, student coaches, the tutoring side, the well-being side, to support them in their anxiety that they're having, their addictions to their cell phones. So this is what I've developed is a support system for students and parents to help them navigate the skills that weren't taught in high school. So, for example, decision making. You're not taking a decision making class in high school. We all take it for granted because we're making thousands of decisions. So that's just one example. And parents need a lot of support. There's no user manual for a teenager, and so it's providing them with guidance and a methodology to help them in this quest to address the skill gaps that they have that, again, is not covered at the home or the school.
How important it is. Also for our audience and listeners to learn, well, there is something very special about Phil for me. When we started the American Business Podcast, he was my first guest. That is how we started. So yeah, that's really special for me. He has a special place for me in my heart, really, and I'm happy that he joined today. And what he does today as a coach, as a career coach, is actually very important. And in that first podcast that we had in the American Business Podcast, Phil really articulated and in detail, he talked about the challenges that we are seeing in the next generation, right? As they are getting ready for their career journey to get started, and how actually he is helping families, parents, as well as students in his from his company. So for more detail, please make sure to check the episode 1 of the American Business Podcast for Phil. But we'll make the most of this event to learn more about Phil and his services. Phil, also just to dive in, can you tell us about how do you get in touch with parents, students, in terms of getting the conversation started for their career path and conversations about their future?
Yeah, so I do a lot of networking. So I'm also on industry advisory boards at schools. And so this helps get in front of the teachers, the principals, the superintendents to share the valuable support that my company could provide to address the gaps. And they certainly want more motivated students. Some of them are zombies in the classroom. I've seen it. I've shared this experience with them to know that they are just tired because they're up at 4 o'clock in the morning because they're addicted to their cell phones. And so and there's also improving the relationships of the parent and the student. That's something the school doesn't really cover. So again, another gap to support parents and to support the school. It should be a partnership between the community, the school, and the parents. This is a great formula. But something happened in the late 90s where it was my child against the school, and my student couldn't do anything wrong, and I'm not going to believe the teacher. I don't know where that came from, but this did not help our society to the us versus them kind of thing. And that's just one example. So I provide support. I just did a webinar last night. We had over 230 parents. They were captivated by the information I was sharing. Usually, people drop off. It's the entertainment factor has to be really high these days, but we provided the valuable information that they've never heard before. So when you share information they've never heard before, as a parent, they'll stay on to get more.
Thank you, Phil, for these insights. Anthony, let's talk about your company and your professional background, if that's okay.
Sure. First of all, thank you for the invite. I'm amongst some really great people. I don't know how to even follow those two conversations. But I'm Tony Lucidi, owner of Lucidi Technical Solutions. We're a small technical consulting company. I've been in the technology world for 35 years. Started in big business with 2 major companies. Then eventually said, I want to do this on my own. I love what I do. So we help basically small to mid-sized companies. So Kimberly, I like what you're doing with small businesses. I like what you're doing as far as, helping them out. And what I try to do is I try to help them on a digital transformation journey. small businesses are at a disadvantage, right? Big businesses have an IT department. Small business has maybe an MSP, that's their computer guy, and they don't know it all, right? So it's very complicated for them. I come in, I like to try to, first thing I try to do is get a broad landscape of what their technologies are, and then I help them better utilize those technologies. Uh, Specifically in the Office 365 world, the Microsoft world, too many companies just don't utilize the tools that they're paying for, and I think it's a disadvantage. So that's really generally where I go. I also am a subcontractor to other consulting companies that allows me to broaden my reach to a larger audience. Um, I would say that's about it, Kev.
Well, that's great. So, well, also, not this is such a special event. Actually, it wasn't the plan, but it really just came up naturally. So, Anthony and Ivy also have a podcast called Two Guys All Things Tech. So, those of our the audience, they know. So, in the American Business Podcast, we typically have interviews, and in the Connection America podcast and plus networking event, we have these type of conversations. But then if you like to see how I debate, then you should definitely watch the Two Guys All Things Tech. So Anton and I, we debate. So he takes a side, I take a side, pros and cons, and then we debate on a certain subject. We start with AI, and other subjects are also coming up too. So I just wanted to share that, I'm
I
also
will
working with
say
Anthony.
you will be entertained because Kevin and I, we really, one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast with Kevin, and obviously why I want to be part of this, is our personalities. We laugh a lot on the podcast. One of the first things I got from people who saw it is, you guys are just funny. But it allows us to really talk technologies. And again, it goes according to Kimberly, what you were saying, and Phil, what you were saying, how we're looking to help people, right? Our podcast is just that. Kevin and I pick subjects, and and what's good about it, we do the pros and cons. So we give the ability for the audience to see all sides of, rather than me trying to sell technology as a technologist type of thing.
Yes, appreciate it. Well, since you just talk about, I'll just bring it to screen for quick, just for our audience to see. Let me see if it's gonna just load it, and if not, I'll try it again. All
There
right,
you
there
go.
it is. Okay, so that's the podcast that we talk about for the for our audience. Two guys, all things tech, and that's all about technology, right? So first we start in the studio. Now we do mostly virtual, which works really perfectly, and so that's available on YouTube for those of you who like to watch and learn more about technology and technology related conversations. All right, that's good. So let's clean up our screen. All right, perfect. Okay, so let's go to the next round if that's okay in our conversation. Well, in this round, let's talk about what makes your company organization different. As we all know, there are other organizations doing similar to what we are doing. And we always have a difference. That's how we are serving our clients, our customers, communities, and industries. Would you please tell us about what makes your company and organization different? And let's go around the room, and let's start with Kimberly, if that's okay. If you can tell us about your company in terms of how it is different in the market.
Yes, that's a good one because working with early stage entrepreneurs and tying together actually the Ignite brand products. So the Ignite brand products that I created are really all about beliefs and using beliefs to make better choices in your life, to essentially create joy as a baseline, because joy is this kind of woo abstract kind of topic, and we bring that to be a much more tangible, much more process oriented thing. And then I build that into the small business training that I do, because we very often don't think about our own selves when we think about building a business. We are an employee. We say, hey, we can really do this. We come out with exposure to probably a high level manager at the most, senior level manager, but not really the owner, and not really understanding what that owner's contribution is to the business. So we come out operating our businesses like employees, and we don't really focus on who we are and what we're bringing and how much we determine the culture of the company. So through Juicy and through the Ignite brand products, I bring all of that together to say, let's look at who you are, what you believe, and what that is manifesting in your life and your business. What kind of choices you're making based on those beliefs. And we really challenge those beliefs to get to what's true and use that truth to develop choices that are more in line with what it is you want to do with your life and your business. Because again, those two things can't be separated. You are one person, both in your personal life and your business. And that's really what we bring to the table.
It's very important. And we always said in the American Business Podcast, small business is actually a big business. And talking about startups, working with startups is actually, that's how we initiated small businesses. The reason the reason small businesses, big businesses, small businesses are backbones of U.S. economy. They're underrated for different reasons, and that's one of our mission to support it. That's why we create this network event as well. And to your point in terms of how you are helping startups is also crucial for organizations, especially starting a startup is challenging, and it's most of the time is a lonely journey, especially in the beginning. And what you are doing with the training that you are offering to startups is actually very helpful. It shows them the way, supports them in so many ways. It's critical. In terms of startups that you are working with, is there a certain industry field that you've been working with?
No, I work across all industries, and I work a lot with nonprofit agencies who have technical assistance as part of their charter for their CDFI. So that audience already exists. I also do some things locally with just networking organizations that have early stage entrepreneurs who, and when I say early stage entrepreneurs, they may have been in business for some years, but just haven't figured out how to really make it a real business that sustains them, and they're able to actually focus 100% on that business.
Thank you, Kimberly. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Phil, let's continue with you if that's okay. All right. So, what makes your company organization different? And if you can tell us about your position, your services, and what makes you different, I'll appreciate it as an organization.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm an analyst, which means that I can identify lots of opportunities and create opportunities. And so one of the things that we developed here was something extraordinary that no company is doing. Let me say that again. No company is doing. And why isn't no company doing? Because they're very focused on accomplishing their competencies and expanding as well, but not servicing our youth. So when you have a mindset of servicing youth, you could do anything. If the goals of the company was to service youth, what they would do and what we have is create internships for students in any field or industry. Our doors are open. We create personalized and customized internships based on their interest, their passion. No company performs that. If you were to look up internships, it's very narrow. It is for the service of that company. This is how we differentiate. And imagine if you were in high school and I offered that to you. Would life be different for you? The amount of doors that would be open for you, the amount of knowledge you would have. And so this is part of the support system, is surrounding students, our youth, with folks who specialize and have gone down this journey. Because in most people's adults' hearts, they'll have room for a student. And they'll have low expectations of that student. And they could share a wealth of knowledge to support and mentor the student. So this is the extraordinary internship opportunities that we offer students to help them in their journey. The challenge is commitment. Students' work ethic is not necessarily focused on outside activities besides their schooling. So this is the challenges our youth face, is because this is not normal. It's not normal to be proactive and get ahead unless they really have an ambition. And I've met students who are really ambitious and they are absolutely going for it. But then there's most students, they have ideas, but they don't pursue it. We're not there in society to support their dreams. Helpopedia, that's the focus, is to help them with their career dreams as well as their college dreams. So this absolutely differentiates us. And there's more. We noticed, we support parents, we support students in the world of special needs. Imagine you're a parent and then you find out your son or daughter has special needs, a disability, a challenge that they have in school, anxiety, depression. You're not prepared. And now you've got to get up to speed. There's no special needs directory, an all-inclusive directory. Guess what we're building? We've seen a lot of websites, and they have spot checks of resources. Most companies don't want to be in the business of referring solutions to their customers, to their people that they serve. It's fascinating. And so again, another differentiator. We care. We're surrounding ourselves with nonprofit organizations, special needs, and we're building a special needs directory. And we're starting with New York. And once the folks see what's happening in New York, oh my goodness, I need it for my state. And then we build the momentum. So this is another extraordinary activity that we're doing that absolutely provides a competitive advantage and differentiator to service, not just the youth, not just parents, but the world.
Yes. This is really exciting. I also like to thank you for your service. It's because special needs for students is actually an important subject matter, and we all need to support that. And what you are doing is actually exactly that, addressing that need in your own capacity with your organization. That's exemplary. And I'm glad that actually you are starting from New York, but you are getting ready to actually make it nationwide, and that is actually really promising. And I love to also partner with you in the American Business Podcast as well to support this initiative. Thank you for that. Yes, absolutely, I appreciate it. Anthony, would you please tell us about your organization? What makes your company organization different in the marketplace?
First of all, I'm inspired by both Kimberly and Phil. Phil, you and I can have a conversation for hours about young people. I'm an assistant scoutmaster on a Boy Scout troop, and a lot of our Boy Scout troop, we get a lot of ADHD, borderline spectrum, and it is a much needed thing for our children. Right? They just they don't get the opportunities, and having them on the campouts is just amazing. So what differentiates me from I'm going to say it's my jack of all trades. In my business career, that didn't help me, right? You go into big business, like, what do you mean jack of all trades? I need you to be focused here. I need you to be focused there. I need you to be focused there. Well, that's not who I am. So when I did application development, I was the graphic design. I was the database guy. I was this. So it helps me, and it helps me with my clients. And I'll give you two examples. I'm going to give you a high-end example and a low-end example real quick. So I'm subcontracting out to a client. This client brings a partner to us. This person wants this medical emergency kit on as part of a promotion to help people understand infectious diseases in hospitals. Okay, so I come up with, being in Boy Scouts, I'm like, that's a bug out bag. And they're like, what's a bug out bag? Well, it's a bag that I carry around with me. Anytime I have to go somewhere, all my emergency stuff is in there. So fast forward, I designed the brochure inside of it. I designed the content inside of it. I designed the packaging. I designed the labeling. This is all skills that I had, right, outside of my technology world. Then I was asked to make 300 units. So I in my garage, I produced 300 units, shrink wrapped them, had them all ready to go. Then they liked that so much, they wanted another 300 units. So I did a total of 600 units. To my surprise, the owner appeared on Newsmax and Fox News, and she presented the kid as part of her forward thinking and her non for profit. Right, so that's on the high end. Now, what allowed me to do is help my client keep the client, if that makes sense to you, right? So the kit design and all that other stuff was built into a contract. So they got that extra stuff. I provided that. On a smaller scale, I'm agile, right? Because I'm a small company, I don't walk into like a contractor walks into your home and I want this molding put up. That's not a big enough job. I can't do it, so forth and so on. A lot of that happens in small businesses. I had a client, they had a device that produced an Excel file with 200 to 300 rows, 50, 60 columns wide. They expected an engineer to review that and spot the problems. Since it was in Excel, since I had the abilities, I designed the system in Excel, all automated. Pop-up forms, it does the analysis, it tells the person where it went wrong, it allows them to go back and fix it. So my ability to be agile with my jack of all trades makes me a unique offering outside of most consultants, right? I compete with consultants left and right? So it's hard for me. But my uniqueness is that ability to be hands-on, agile, and a jack of all trades.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Anthony. Very insightful and important to learn about your organization. Let's go to our next round, if that's okay. Well, in this round, let's talk about AI and industry disruptors. So this round is not only about AI. From your point of view, in your industry, if you see any other industry disruptors, whether or not AI is a disruptor or a change agent, please share your view with us. Also, anything else that you are seeing in your industry as an industry disruptor, changing the ecosystem in your market. Kimberly, if that's okay, let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, I love AI. We talked about it. AI to me is the big equalizer. It puts these small businesses on a scale that they would not have been able to do otherwise at a much faster pace. So everything about AI I'm loving, and we are really just at the precipice of it and where it's really going and how it will be integrated in our lives. I'm old enough to remember before internet. So I remember how that kind of slowly weaved its way from the corporate world into our homes and then to our lives. AI doesn't need to wait for all of that to develop. It's here. Everything it needs to grow and propagate is here. And the question will just be how soon it gets into the 3D world. But it is absolutely disrupting much of what, as Tony was talking about, these small businesses that work that spreadsheet. People can just literally text and say, I wanted to do this, and just type it in there, which I think is really the part about AI that makes it so powerful, is that you don't have to have coding experience. You don't have to be an engineer to do it. Like when internet first came out, HTML was like a foreign language that only a few knew how to do. This is all text-based. So it is getting in there and changing everything about the way a small business can operate.
And I remember you actually coined that term in a way in our podcast episode in the American Business podcast. You actually mentioned that now AI is a silent partner in our businesses.
Yes,
so
indeed.
Yeah, I love that definition. It's really like nicely put. And that after that episode, I talk about this term, of course, crediting you with other guests of ours as well in the American Business podcast. It's because it's nicely described in terms of AI's position in an organization. It's a silent partner, silent colleague in a way that we can work with to excel our businesses.
Exactly. And I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Very insightful. Thank you very much, Kimberly. Phil, what do you think from your point of view? Let's talk about AI. Let's talk about industry disruptors in your industry.
Yeah, so a lot to be said. That silent partner concept. I think it's more than a silent partner. Silent partners sleep at night. This is 24/7, and that is an engine of a partner. So this, and it's definitely silent behind the scenes, could be leveraged and utilized. It is reshaping schools because now you have information at your fingertips where you're going to school, you're learning something for the first time. Now you don't have to go to school. And this is an option that parents see as after COVID as well. Homeschooling is up, and homeschooling, you may think of the old days when you're teaching your kid at home by yourself. Well, homeschooling has reinvented itself, and it's surrounding themselves with professional teachers who don't want to go into school and then are doing this online. And they have communities of folks who are providing exceptional assignments and knowledge to their students and practical learning too. So AI really has provided an ability to rethink education. And certainly, from a college and career perspective, the thing that AI is not able to do is what are the right questions to ask. Unless you know this, and when I'll admit I'm only using the free versions, Perplexity, ChatGPT, and others, but I can see it is not a thorough answer. So I'm an analyst, so I know what I'm looking at and looking for. However, for a person who's unfamiliar with the material and learning for the first time, this can be a risk because AI is not a subject matter expert to verify. And there's a word called due diligence. That's not a requirement. And so this is some of the challenges. And I'm sure that with more sophistication, more factual based knowledge of support as opposed to opinions that are all over that they're tapping into. So this is one of the challenges from an education perspective. But I'm still going to be in business because I have critical thinking skills. I'm offering internships. AI, are you going to offer internships for students? And which company are you with? I'm working with ChatGPT on my internship. So this doesn't hold a lot of water with
Great point.
colleges. So I'm not worried about AI because I know that it's absolutely providing additional value, but it is not the answer to all college and career processes to support the students, because they'll need critical thinking, things like that. So yeah, that's my piece, and I'm sure Anthony is going to be able to share how AI is impacting all those developers who studied all that code to create.
Yes, yes. Let's turn to Anthony and get his insights.
So, Kev, I appreciate the question because you and I have had 5 episodes on our podcast on AI regulation alone. So what I will point out, Phil, is it's a tool like any other tool, right? I did an event and I had teachers there and they were like, well, how do I deal with AI? And I said, you don't. I said, what happens now is instead of giving them a test with questions and answers, you're going to critique them. You're going to ask them questions. So if it's about a book, I can get AI to tell me about the book. But if I don't read what the AI gives me and I don't understand and fact check, if the teacher says, okay, so why do you think this? In paragraph 3, you say you believe X. Why? The why AI can't give you. Okay, so it's a tool. And going back to Kimberly, for small businesses, it is a wonderful tool. I use AI on a regular basis. I am a walking example of how AI can help me be more proficient. And what I like where AI is going is that it has multiple. ChatGPT is one way. Then you have Gemini that now has the imagery included in it. I just did a test for a client. The client wanted to do a flyer, very localized thing. I went in. Now the prompts, so Phil, you're absolutely correct. The prompt, what you type in and what you ask it, I spend an hour doing that. I wrote a storyline and it was just a simple flyer. I wrote an entire storyline, and what it gave me was phenomenal. Now, I was able to throw that over to my customer in, let's say, under 2 hours. They came back and said, yeah, let's move. So for me, right now, if I had to redesign that, I'd have to find the imagery. I'd have to create the imagery. I'd have to create the content. It allowed me to do this to my, and then just to give a preliminary. Now, when we go to the next step, we're going to fine tune that. We're going to change the content. I'm going to change the wording around a little bit, but AI's here and it's not going anywhere. And it is enormous for small businesses. I really don't think small business, because here's what small businesses are trying to do. They're trying to do like a big business. How can I get AI used? So they dump a bunch of money. They pay somebody to come in, tell them what they're going to do with it, and it's too high level. If you start slowly, if you start, in your marketing department, well, let the marketing department use ChatGPT to come up with a good marketing. Who cares? What do you, or if you don't have a marketing company, between Gemini and ChatGPT, I can come up with an amazing social media campaign in under a couple of hours, and even take because with Gemini, you can tell it what the imagery is. It's like almost like a director of a video. Here's the scene. This is what I'm doing. And you tell it what content to put in. It will put the text in for you. I could theoretically take that, download the image, throw it onto social media, and now I have a campaign. So, Kev, it's very disruptive, but in a good way, I think, specifically for small businesses and even small departmental. But I will caution, if you don't have a strategy, you're doomed, right? If you just allow it to run wild, because people could upload financial information, say, make this into a spreadsheet for me. Now, that's cloud-based. Now it's going up into the cloud. So you have to have a strategy and you have to be careful. That's, I know I spoke too long, Kev, but...
No, timing is perfect. And I appreciate the insights. Yeah, no, this is perfect. Thank you very much. Well, okay. So in this round, let's talk about your advice for businesses and professionals. So we have been talking about different subjects about our businesses, what makes us different in general, common challenges that we are addressing from with help of our organization, our teams. So from your point of view, in your own category, in your own field, what type of advice would you like to give to businesses and professionals? Kimberly, let's start with you.
Okay, thank you. I actually have one core piece of advice that kind of spreads across both. And one is that advice is learn. Just without question, learn, because you want to learn about yourself. You are the source. You are where everything you do, everything around you springs from. So you need to understand what's going on. And when you look at your life and you look at what's going on around you, I use one example when you talk about people struggling to understand, well, who are they authentically and what do they want authentically? I say, look around you, look around your personal environment. You probably have something that you ordered more than once and more different versions of that haven't quite touched. So something in you says, this is what I want to do. When you look at the boxing gloves and the roller skates and the basketball, something of athletic is in you that wants to come out, and you just haven't figured out how to tap into that. So that's just one example to say, learn who you are. And the other part of it is learn what's going on around you. One of the beauties of AI is you have the ability now to literally learn about anything, learn about places, learn about people, learn topics, really deep dive into it in ways you wouldn't have been able to do with Google. So take advantage of where we are today and what's available to us today to learn, because that's really how you grow.
Kimberly, thank you very much for your insights. And it's important that you mentioned that, especially in terms of startups and small businesses. From your point of view, your organization offers support and training to startups as well as small businesses and nonprofits, as you mentioned earlier. That's very important that they understand where they are, their strength, and they position themselves accordingly, well, they can also work with you, and things can work even smoother for them, right? So I also keep your contact information on the screen, and any organization, small businesses, startups, nonprofits, if they are looking to have training support for their companies growth, make sure to be in touch with Kimberly and her company. I have the contact information on the screen, and we'll continue our conversation as well. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Well, Phil, any advice for businesses and professionals from your point of view that you like to share with us today?
Absolutely. So in this competitive world, we are all competing against each other for client-facing information. They are scrolling. They're using their digital, and everybody's competing to get those eyes on your commercial. Get those eyes on your messages. This is across every business, every organization, every nonprofit. We're all competing against each other. Instead of combining efforts to really support and know and understand the customer's needs, because they don't care, they could care less. I want to advertise to everybody. I don't care. And or I want to just advertise to my niche, and hopefully it's successful because we're going to use these behavioral algorithms to manipulate you and cast you in a hypnotist so you could buy our products. This is just scary stuff. And we're addicted. We're addicted to our cell phones, and we're addicted to these food products in the grocery store, and I could go on, but we face this challenge. And it's great that Kevin is sharing this opportunity to show that the networking thing, and we're not bad people, and we're all have talents and skills that we'd love to help folks who need those skills and who need that help and support. And so this is the purpose of business. The other thing is the amount of fraud that is happening. And now the folks in the consumer world are skeptical about everything. And so this is the challenge we face, is that you've got to have this trustful actor who's going to convince people to trust them. And we've never seen that before. And so these are the challenges that we face. And then there's AI, who's generating digital commercials millions of times over to get in front of my customer. And so this is the challenges that we all face. And this is the world we live in now. Thank you, Kevin.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I also have Phil's contact information on the screen for career coaching and other subjects that he mentioned in education field, special education and career advancement. For that, please make sure to be in touch with Phil. I have his contact information on the screen. And let's continue our conversation with Anthony. And after this round, let's have a free flowing conversation, if that's okay. And we can ask each other questions if you wish before we end the networking event. Okay, Anthony. Well, any business advice?
So
yes.
I'm a small businessman. I started off as a small businessman. My first piece of advice: reach out to Kimberly and Phil for your help, because what they've said makes total 100%. I did what Kimberly suggested. I had to work through that. Be your genuine self. The only way that I have gotten revenue and contracts is when I became Tony, not Tony the sales guy, Tony the me. Kevin and I are part of a networking organization. I went to my first networking organization. I handed out my business cards. I went home and I told my wife, this place stinks. And she said, what have you done? I said, well, I handed out my business card. She said, no, what have you done? So I joined a committee. I am now the co-director of that committee. My first event where I spoke and was genuinely me, I got resonation from people, right? People walked up to me. I like what you had to say. So 100% be your true self. The other piece of advice I'd give is something that a really good mentor of mine, when I first started, said, do one thing every day for the business. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's an email. I don't care if it's a note. I don't care if it's a phone call. One thing, and then do whatever you want the rest of the day. smart enough, he knew one would turn into two, two would turn into three, three would turn. So when you're an entrepreneur, you look at the landscape and you say, this is too large. I don't want to do this. But if you just bring it into a small bite, do one thing every day for the business. That's how I started, and that's how I grew. And those are my two pieces of advice.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, why don't we do this before we end the Podcast Plus networking event today? Do you have any questions for each other?
So I enjoyed the story that Tony shared with us about how he helped a client. Kim, can you do that as well? Can you share a glowing moment that felt incredibly proud that you helped a client?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you for asking that, Bill. I used to facilitate a program that I created. It's an 18-week program for early stage entrepreneurs that really takes them beginning to end. And what we discovered is that many of those businesses, for lack of a better term, fell off a cliff at the end of those 18 weeks because now they knew better. They needed that, okay, what's next? I've mastered this, now what? So we were calling up these companies to come and join what we called an accelerator, which was a follow-on program that was much more operational and helped them put what they'd learned in the first 18 weeks into place. And we contacted this one business. They didn't respond. Respond. So I was able to reach one of the other people that worked in the company. He said, we'll be there. So they go through the program, and it was 20 weeks, but 10 weeks was instruction, 10 weeks peer group. At the end of the 10 weeks, we had them do a testimonial. And that business person that we were trying to contact, he got on and said, I was not responding because I was getting ready to go out of business. I was done. I had done all that work, and I was being burnt out because I was trying to do all this work. And he says, now after this and after these 10 weeks, I am about ready I'm working 50% less in the business right now. And I have my eye on about 20% at the end of these next 10 weeks. And later, he was able to graduate from the program. And we learned that shortly after that, he actually acquired a competitor. So he went from getting ready to close the doors to actually buying a business.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I have a question for Phil. So I consider you a disruptor, right? You're disrupting the educational institution. How do you keep yourself motivated, right? So a disruptor hits brick walls left and right? You're laughing because I know it. I work with BOCES and I work with the Scouts. So I know your world a little bit, and your world is a lot of, nah, I don't see it. How do you keep yourself motivated in a situation where it's just brick wall after brick wall after brick wall?
That's a great question. So my personality is change for the better, innovate, excel, achieve greatness. When I'm working with cultures that are very risk averse,
yes,
I am not a great fit.
No,
I am the guy on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
Observing.
You're the mirror.
I'm the mirror.
Yes.
That's wonderful. I never thought of it that way. That's great, Tony. So yeah, so I'm not a great fit for the organization. So it requires extensive patience, building relationships, and extremely a large amount of time, because it's very difficult to instill that culture of desire and improvement and motivation.
Yep.
Because the complacency, the authoritarian style of and they're not empowered. When you're not empowered, and so I come from the corporate side. where you are always going for better for your customers. It is not like that in the education system, unfortunately. And or I've had heart-to-heart conversations with superintendents. Their hands are tied.
Yeah.
In certain circumstances.
Right.
I'd love to bring in, but there's a union.
Right.
And you can't provide this incredible service within our building because we have rules. We have policy to prevent outsiders coming in. And even the teachers who are ex-teachers, again, they are disappointed with the process that they're trying to get back into. It's fascinating. It's definitely a lesson for all. And I've actually had this conversation in the 90s where businesses were working with schools and they were pulling their hair out.
Yeah.
And so it is not an easy task.
In my world, that industry is problematic.
Yeah.
Schools, lawyers, not-for-profits, they're all focused, and they have a very rigid way about them. And in my world, the technology world, you could have that as an industry leader, but it is a lot of work to get over that hump of, well, this is how it's done.
Yep.
This is the classic example, Tony, of how schools are not innovative and don't take technology. It's oh my goodness, every corporation has a disaster recovery plan because there's IT people and they want to make sure that machine is running, that server is going to be on, regardless if the building blows. That mindset was never implemented in government as it relates to school systems. And guess what? When it snows, stay home. Our goal is not to keep your students educated on that day and provide the services to you.
Yeah.
And so this was a wake-up call, but still not a wake-up call because things still haven't changed as it relates to that thinking. But it's like embarrassing.
But that's where people like you come in. That's why people like you are important, right? Because you are the disruptor. You are the voice, raising the flag saying, we got to do better.
Yeah.
And what you wind up happening, and I find this as well, is once I get one champion, the quiet people start to come to the surface. I've been thinking about what you said. And to your point, how many teachers are disenfranchised? Look at the medical industry, right? The big guys are buying up local mom and pop, local doctors, and it's a volume game now. I don't know my doctor anymore. Why? Because my doctor's got 20 minutes to get me in, get me on, get the next client in. Listen, if you're going to be handling my health, you darn well better know me as a person. So I'm the type of person, I take my time. I was in PMO, and the doctor's like, you gotta, and then no, I got my half hour. You're gonna sit with me for a half hour. We're gonna have a conversation about me. And I literally had my watch, and I said, okay, give me your half hour. And she was dumbfounded, but I got my point across. So, again, it's people like you and Kimberly that you disrupt the system, right? So we need more people like that. We need more people to be the sounding board to say, this just isn't working.
I have a question for both Tony and Phil, actually.
Okay.
Because we talked about this a little bit, but it's one of the things that it's one of the challenges that I've seen in especially the early stage entrepreneurs, in addition to being able to use this technology, is social media and the effect of all of these years of social media build up and how it's changed the people's perspective, particularly the young people. So the question, Phil, how do you accommodate that in terms of balancing that technology bridge and saying you really want to learn it and really want to understand it because it's going to be part of our lives, but combat the effect of that instant gratification, short attention span, all the things that come with that social media conditioning. And the same with you, Tony, as you're talking about building systems for people, especially small businesses, and they have these ideas that don't quite align with reality that from a foundational standpoint probably come from some of the things that they're seeing on social media.
Wow, what a great question.
Yeah.
So I have not embraced social media. So thank goodness I have other people who have. So I have we have a marketing committee on the on Helpopedia side, and they're using these AI tools that are like instant. Here's the whole social media campaign. Here's all the great messages that we can share to support students, and ours is the educational side. So I have no problem supporting and doing that activity because the content that we're sharing is helpful and valuable. And certainly, yes, I'm in the world of, or we're competing against everybody else as well to get the eyes from families and parents. So I'm supporting it because it's a method that is needed in the world of marketing, and that's where people are. They're on their phones, and so if you want to be known, this is what you have to do. But I don't personally do it.
Well, but how do you work with the kids who are so deeply ingrained in it,
That's the key.
and the effect that that's having on their outlook?
Yeah, so I have to be entertaining. I have to be interesting because they can. And here, this is really important, folks. The difference is one-on-one is so much more effective
There you go.
in a classroom of 25 students. This is the personal attention students need, and they know that you care about them and their success. Whether they're internally motivated to continue, it's a different conversation. But they see they do see the benefits of working with me, and because it's all about them when I'm working with them.
I personally think, Kimberly, this young generation that's used social media, they're dying for real life, right? So it's known there's deep fakes, there's AI on social media, right? It's a known thing. Google now, if you notice, the sponsor link on Google has shrunk smaller and smaller so that the average person doesn't see that the first 5 are sponsors that have been paying for this. It's all deceitful. People know it. People understand it. But I agree with Phil 100%. I did an event with my committee and BOCES, and I got like 8 or 10 people together and said, we're going to go to BOCES. We're going to talk to the students. Okay, great. I made it very clear. If the students change the direction, we go in the direction the students changed. It was one of the most highly accoladed, I'm trying to find the right word. They loved it, the students. So the person who ran it says, I wanted to interview the students to see how well you guys did. She says, the line went out my office, around the hallway and back with the students that wanted to talk about what a great time they had. Why? Because I did what Phil said. Let them take it. It was a technology. I'm getting ready to talk tech. And it went right down to soft skills. How do you do an interview? And then I said to myself, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to stop. I'm going to sit on this table, and you guys are going to approach me for a job. I want you to just come up and start talking. And I would say 10 of them surrounded me and sat there. And I'm like, all right, what's up? What are we doing? This is how you approach somebody? Hi, I'm Tony. How you doing? What's your name? And it just morphed. And the basic social skills are not taught. But to combat social media, it's a one-on-one. It has to be, right? I think social media has its use, but people know it's negative. And they're very well aware of it, and they very well understand it, and they're becoming more and more educated about it. So I think it's not going to have the impact that it had in the past. I just don't think it's there anymore because there's so much lies, right? The Tony Lucidi, the Tony Lucidi that you see on social media, especially these influencers, is not the same person that wakes up out of bed and kicks the dog before they go get my way, because we're all in that. We're all trying to present a persona, and that is fake. And the average person knows it's fake. It may be entertaining, but they know it's a fake.
That's
Well,
good.
this is a great conversation. I truly appreciate everyone's insight. Well, I think we come to the end of our online networking plus podcasting event. I truly appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed it as well as attendees shared
Yes.
your insights and wisdom with us. I truly appreciate it.
Great job, Kevin. Thank you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Kevin. Thank
Of
you,
course.
Kimberly. Thank you, Phil. It was wonderful
Of
being on with
course.
you.
It's
I
my
sent a-
pleasure.
I'll send a LinkedIn request, Tony and Kimberly.
Yeah,
Yes, absolutely.
actually, Phil, I may want to talk to you offline.
Absolutely.
I think you'd be very beneficial in the BOCES event that I'm hosting in March. I think your energy and just everything about you would be fantastic. So send me that LinkedIn request, and I'll set up a call. We can have a conversation about it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tony.
All right.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
See, Kev, you made a connection right here, bud.
Well,
That's
that's the whole point, right?
now.
Yes,
You know-
I'm glad it's working out. So I'm watching. I'm really enjoying these, and happy to facilitate these connections. I'm glad it's working out. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tony, Phil. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Kimberly. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Tony and Phil.
Same
Thank
here.
you very
Take
much.
care, guys.
Well, to our audience and to our listeners, thank you very much for listening today. Today's event, Networking Plus Podcasting. That was actually very educational for all of us. I totally appreciate it. And also, if you like to join the next one, if you're interested, please make sure to scan this QR code. It'll take you to our page for the registration, and you can join us. That is the link that we use. You can also find the same link in the website of the American Business Podcast, americanpodcast.tv. You'll also find the registration page right there as well. Thank you very much, and I wish you a great weekend.
Bye.